drop.
Run
Don't
like
go
hell.
back. Don't go back. So there we were. And so we made
So what
our,
part of that order didn't
we
you
finally-
understand? So you're alone.
We were
Don't do it
alone.
alone.
Yeah,
But you found the place anyway.
yeah, that's right.
Radio
And
silence
if you-
didn't matter.
And if you, okay, we finally found it. And so we went right down the runway at prescribed altitude and pickled off the bombs, but they didn't drop.
Just a minute, you pickled off the bombs?
Well, the navigator did it with a bomb sight.
They call that
Yeah.
release a pickle.
Pickle it if I'm doing it.
Well,
But
then you're in a
that
real
was wrong.
pickle.
Yeah, but we went down, and the bombs didn't drop, but the crew had prepared 2 cases of beer bottles with a wire to a razor blade, and the purpose was to scream as they went down. So they dumped 2 of those out,
You're kidding.
and we bombed the runway with 2 cases of beer bottles.
You
I'm not
scared the
kidding.
heck out of
How'd
them.
you get rid
I
of the
woke
bomb?
him, woke him up.
I bet
That's
they all
not a
had-
good thing.
I bet they all had to change underwear.
The searchlights came on, and the aircraft got busy, and I called the crew. I said, "Do you want to go back?" They said, "Hell yes!" So I made a 270 and came around, broke rule number 2.
At least you're
But I was in
consistent.
the reserve at the time. Which, what the hell? I went across the runway then. I wanted to make it as quick as I could.
Yeah, I guess.
And the searchlights were so bright I could hardly see the instrument panel.
And you were out of beer bottles.
Out of it. And, so I had 20 bombs to drop, and 1 every second. And so as I started in, they were right on me. The flashes were all around me.
Wow.
And I watched the intervalometer, and I was watching that light. It would go on, the red light, every time it dropped a bomb, and I thought it would never quit. And I was going through the bursts of the anti-aircraft, which explosions, and I was bouncing like that because I was going through all that stuff, and bright, and so
How many of the 20 dropped?
they all dropped.
Oh, they all dropped.
The plane captain got a screwdriver and he stuck it into the Bombay
Secret weapon.
Screwdriver.
and held it so that it wouldn't set off the safety device because they had crept.
Wow.
The Bombay doors had crept a little bit.
So you're saying the pucker factor was fairly high at that time?
It was. Oh my God.
The universal
They were
tool.
coming close
The
enough,
universal tool.
close enough to bounce us.
Yeah.
So I made a cutaway as soon as it didn't go off, the intervalometer, and a diving to change altitude and direction.
That was your
And
third
I was-
mistake?
That was
Fourth
fourth.
mistake.
I elected that, and so as I started, got a report from the after station, says there's a fighter on our tail. So I cut and looked back, and it wasn't a fighter, it was their anti-aircraft. It was coming up like that and going underneath us, just underneath our plane.
So no plane came up and chased you then?
No.
They might
They
not
weren't
have had
ready.
an airstrip on that island, would
But
they?
Well, that's what he was bombing.
That's what he bombed.
He was bombing an airstrip.
The other guy that
Pay
did
attention,
something like
Jack.
that in the daytime got shot down, one of our buddies. But then I got on back to the base, having broken both of the rules.
What'd you fess up to when they asked you questions?
nothing.
Well, I'll tell you.
I was
Misha-
following the plane in front of me.
Mission accomplished.
So the intelligence officer, after he gave my report, said, "The captain wants to see you."
Uh-oh.
So I went in, and all of our guys that had missed it were sitting in a waiting room in a circle. And I walked in there, and the captain said, "Did you find Nauru?" "Yes, sir." "Did you bomb Nauru?" "Yes, sir." Okay.
He didn't want to ask the other 2 questions, you know. What rules did you break?
Here's my question: did we win the war?
Yeah, really. I mean, was it worth it?
How old were
Noticed
you,
to
Herb?
be
How
there,
old
man.
were you?
Second,
How old were you?
about 26, I guess.
26?
That was to be their main bastion for their push south for the Japanese. Now, was to be. So it was very heavily fortified.
Yeah.
Not fortified enough, apparently.
Well, as Carl found out, that was their main source of phosphate for making munitions.
Oh,
Japan's main source, and they had Chinese labor, so you know it's probably slave labor.
HD.
Herb, how many planes
Herb
in your squadron
I
at the
bet
time
he
you
was
were
retired.
flying?
Yeah,
were
I bet he
lost?
was too.
We're lost.
Yeah, just in your own squadron.
For that one detachment, there were 4.
4.
Yeah. One of them got shot down at Nauru. I went out the next day to look for him, see if there's something around Nauru there. And I figured they'd be pretty anxious. So, Tokyo Rose said the night before, when he didn't come back, she announced, we were listening on the radio, and our consulate announced that their valiant Japanese defenders had shot down our plane. So I went out. I had that sector the next day, and so I flew us until I had a plane that would receive their radar. And then I flew until we could pick up the pings from their radar, and then it got low.
Oh.
I got down under the horizon and approached Nauru. Under radar is direct line, so you get under the horizon, they can't see you. So I went in to just a few miles, about 3 miles from Nauru, and circled the island, looking for.
And they never picked you up.
No. They would have been very alert that day.
Yeah, because this knucklehead came the night before, so and bombed across the runway.
You couldn't have done anything. You couldn't land. How could you help them?
I don't know,
A big net.
but I could have, if I'd found them, myself could have gone on.
Yeah, you could have reported.
And or if they needed another raft, I could have dropped them a
They
raft.
could have sent SEAL Team 6.
But I
There
made
you
a
go.
point of being sort of low,
Yeah.
low enough so that when I made a turn around the island, I would raise up a little bit so I wouldn't dip
Hit the
my
water?
wing. So I wouldn't dip my port wing in the water.
Wow. Wow, you were low.
Very low.
How low
I think
were
I
you?
made ripples in the water.
Well, you know, there must have been